We are back. Your number one youth development, youth empowerment podcast, all 8. I hope you book your day because we are back. We are back.
Ons is binne.
Binne.
Ons is binne.
Episode 10. Direct?
Direct, of course.
What happened this past weekend?
Obvious, we have
Here we
obviously
go.
great, exciting results. Club rugby, your Super Rugby, your SA Cup. I mean, always surprising SA Cup. But we're going to chat a little bit later on that. And then obviously, we have our guest.
Wonderful guest tonight. Not just a guest, another coach.
Another coach. But nowadays we don't know if he's actually a coach or if he's a player coach, because you never know, right?
And
he doesn't want to hang up his boots.
His physique still looks like a 19-year-old.
Of course.
Oh my word. Chicken breast, egg white.
Of course.
Or what is it? Is it chicken breast?
Of course. I don't know.
It's a knot on a knot. Oh my word.
And
Talk
don't forget, we need to share some love with our followers.
Viewers.
Thank you once again for supporting us. It's been a long run. 10 episodes, but thank you guys for being there for us, for sharing our stuff, liking and subscribing. And you know what? For those new viewers,
And followers.
click the button.
Subscribe.
Like.
Share.
Please.
Here we go. All 8 is binne. We are inside. Here we go.
And obviously our guest, a radio presenter, a commentator,
Yes.
well-known, kan ons hom celeb noem?
Celeb, but in die Bolland sal ons gepraat van big name.
Big name.
Big name. Big name is in the house tonight.
None other than Morgan
Newman. Yeah.
Welcome, Morgs. Thanks for being on episode 10 on the All 8 podcast. We appreciate you taking time out. You know, you're a busy guy, you're a coach, you're a radio presenter, you're a rugby commentator. So thank you very much.
Morgan Newman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, good to be here, man. Thanks. Fantastic podcast. What do you guys call it? Is it a video cast, podcast? Same thing, right? Podcast. Fantastic. Great to be on. And yeah, it's a privilege for me to be on here. I've seen you had some prestigious guests in the past, so I find myself extremely privileged.
Yes, because you're Morgan Newman. You win. Big name.
You're downgrading for your 10th episode.
No, never.
You must keep the standards there.
Morg, so firstly, obviously, we have different viewers, a little bit of young viewers, you have your older viewers, and then guys that obviously should know you. But firstly, those that don't know you, who is Morgan Newman?
Sure. It's a tough question. Multifaceted, but first and foremost, I'm a father. I think that's how I'd like to be known. Definitely don't like to be known as a rugby player. Former rugby player. I used to play professional rugby back in the day. But yeah, I mean, I'd like the entrepreneur at heart, I suppose, is also something that sits quite close to me. And then obviously, yeah, I mean, got my hand in a couple of pies, radio presenter with Good Up FM still, which is quite exciting. And yeah, I commentate for Supersport schools and for Supersport now. So that keeps me busy during the week and weekends. And then outside of that, still involved in the family business. We do interior decorative woodwork, so kitchen, bedroom cupboards, that kind of stuff. Small little punt there, you know, for all the viewers. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and then outside of that, of course, just recently come on board as the head coach of Controversies Rugby Club, and that's a full-time job on its own. So everything else has taken a back seat for the last couple of months, but took it on as a hobby. Obviously, my love for rugby is massive, and yeah, that's where I find myself at the moment.
That's Morgan Newman. Kry moet een head coach. Kry moet een head coach. Die kraaie is binne. Here we go. Morgan, what was your most memorable moment in your rugby career?
Sure, you know, I did. You sent me the questions a little earlier, and I thought, where do you go from this? You know, like, you know, for me, is it the moment on the field? You know, I've always been a guy that's like, I love everything about rugby, not necessarily the rugby itself.
Yes.
And the memories for me is all about the friends I made and stuff like that. But I suppose in keeping with the answer that you're looking for, my most memorable rugby moment, probably the British Irish Lions. You know, playing against them twice. Not a lot of players in the world, I think, that get the opportunity to play against the British Irish Lions twice. So I played for them for the emerging Springboks, and then I played for Western Province as well. And that's probably ranks up there. I mean, a packed Newlands Stadium is hard to beat. And so playing in front of whatever it was, 65,000 people
Phew.
at Newlands, I think
65.
65 or 56, something like that. Anyway, it's going to be hard to beat. And so when you ask me the question, that one always ranks up there. Although, a beer in the shower after a game, nothing beats that. So I remember those quite clearly as well.
Yes.
Funny enough, we spoke about this actually with the guest that was on our show. And he also said that was one of his memorable moments, Jerome Pava.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reality is, do you remember the results? Like, if you asked me any of my, what is it? I made a Stormers debut against the Chiefs at Newlands. Do I remember the result? No, I think we lost narrowly. But I can tell you now, I definitely remember the beers in the changing room. I remember making my sort of Springbok squad, being announced in the Springbok squad, sitting on the bus with guys that I looked up to, Victor Matfield, Bakkies Botha, Schalk Burger, Jean de Willis. I remember those things. Do I remember the 80 minutes on the field? I don't know. That's why I'm such an advocate now for making sure that, even club rugby, every little bit of rugby that you're involved in, making sure that the memories lie outside of the four white lines, because...
Soos hulle sal sê, Morgan, hier's vir jou 'n koue.
Exactly. So, yeah, as much as I do love the game, I think, we sometimes take it so seriously.
Yes.
Also, when you play professional rugby, you must remember that the guys that you play with are your colleagues, your work colleagues. You know what I mean? They're not your friends. But you go to Marty's, and where I played rugby, I go to Marty's, I go to Hamilton's. Those guys were my friends that I played with.
Yes.
Playing professional rugby with the Stormers, those guys are your work colleagues.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself, is your work, wherever your work environment is, are your work colleagues your friends or are they work colleagues? And so there's a big difference.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of my memories do lie in sort of club rugby, varsity cup, where I sort of, I'd like to say, got seen, or whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, that's kind of my memories.
And which year was that you played Varsity Cup?
Sure. So I played the first ever varsity cup. Can't tell you what year that was. I
15 years ago.
2004. So I think that's probably 2005, 2006. Is it? Yeah,
13, 14 years ago.
Yeah. So we actually, Marty's went on. We went on to win it, I think, 5 times in a row. The varsity cup, which was quite cool back then.
Steinhoff, obviously.
Steinhoff. You don't know what happened to that.
Yeah, but obviously, it was great when it was there.
No, look, even outside of the varsity cup, just club rugby back then, playing for Marty's, second to none. Back then Marty's was more of a rugby club, so we had older guys, and I was a junior coming through the ranks. I think I heard something this the other day that myself and I think Schalk Burger back then were the only players to come straight out of school and play first team for Marty's. Back then you had to earn your keep, you had to go play under 21s, or you had to go play under 20s, year in, year out, back-to-back years, and then only make your debut for Marty's. So stuff like that. Times have changed, and we got to move with the times, I suppose.
Definitely.
And then moves with regards to the toughest opponent. You were center, and in your era, there were tough centers. Super Rugby. Your man, Nonus.
Yeah.
Who was the toughest opponent that you can say, Harry, every nightmares?
It's funny that you said that. I was fortunate to play against very good rugby players. Toughest opponent it's really hard. I think my toughest opponent again, I would have to go and look at a guy like, honestly, Gordon Darcy was second to none. That guy was the most physical center I've ever played against. Obviously, Irish center. So the guy that I look at and I go, jeepers, this guy was a boss. Matt Guitar, unbelievable. The Western Force back then, I don't even remember those days.
Yeah.
Ran circles around me, scored tries that I had to look between my legs where that was.
Gone.
And then, the Chiefs backline back then also, the likes of Richard Kahui, Masaga, those guys was wild. When they ran at you, it was like 7, 10 guys running all into one. So I can't put my finger on one individual that I think stood out as but I think different elements, Matt Guitar was extremely elusive, great skill set, really could pass the ball, could play on the advantage line and get the ball wide.
And good kick.
Yeah, and could kick, So you really had to watch him. Whereas a guy like Gordon Darcy had completely different skills in the game. Super physical, wanted it confrontational. But more like the game that I played, I suppose I was a bit more confrontational. So, those battles were tough. But, between the two of them, I'd probably say, you can go across the board, Sione Lowaki was unbelievable. There's a very cool picture of me tackling Lowaki, and I look this size and he looks like this. So,
It was massive.
Exactly. So those are the guys that, were proper rugby players that I had the privilege of playing against.
So guys, that was Morgan's rugby career in a nutshell. That's Morgan's rugby in a nutshell. So now we're going for the transition to coaching. Forget about Morgan Newman. We talk about a coach now. So Morgan, what inspired you to transition from player to a coach? And when did it happen?
You know, it's funny, this coaching thing, because I never played rugby wanting to be a coach, if I'm honest. You know, I think I don't do politics. I don't do politics.
Can you avoid it? Can you avoid it?
Well, this is why I'd say, what's why I didn't coach for a long time. So I'll give you the short answer is, I didn't want to be a coach purely based on the fact that I don't do politics. I call a spade a spade. I mean, nothing about me. I don't sugarcoat. If I think I'm allowed to swear on this podcast because I'm going to try and keep it very clean. But, you know, and so when I decided that I was going to hang up my boots, you know, I lost my late brother, whatever it was, 11 years ago. And then I decided, you know, I'm going to quit rugby. I'm done now. I've had enough, whatever. Then Hamilton's got me on board to come and play. Ended up playing. I retired very young, to be fair, professionally. I think I retired at like 29 or something. Not even younger, 28 or 27.
You peak.
Yeah, I was at my peak. And then I stuck around, played a bit of club rugby, and obviously played for many years club rugby. And then during that transition, it was a case of, am I ever going to coach? Do I want to coach? Don't I want to coach? And a big rugby mentor of mine at the time was Anton Moorman, who was the coach of Hamilton's that got me back to playing after my brother, and I decided I'm not going to play. He said, just come down and train. I was like, okay, I'll just train, you know. But you know how rugby is. You don't just go to train.
Exactly.
Before I knew it, whatever, the league started, and yeah, I was playing. And then he coached me for about, it must have been 8 to 9 years, even 10 years at Hamilton's. And then he decided he's going to hang up his boots. And the assistant coach at the time was Nicky Viljoen. And Nicky said to me, listen, Wolves, Willis is hanging up his boots. Don't you want to just assist me in the first side? And then I thought, gee, but this is like, I'm going to start coaching guys that I played with. It's quite a tough thing to do, you know. Anyway, knowing me, I say yes and then I'll worry about it afterwards. Took up the opportunity, and I coached at Rammies for, I think it was 2 years. And it was a very cool experience. Oh, was it a year? 2 years, I can't remember.
Which year was that?
Sure. Just before COVID, actually.
2019.
So I coached 2018 at Hamilton's with Nicky Viljoen. Then Nicky, I think for 2 years or whatever it is, Nicky decided to hang up his boots, and Phil Cronier came in. I coached with Phil Cronier, and then COVID hit. And then after COVID, Hammies wanted to come back. The director of rugby at the time, and I didn't really see eye to eye. His name is, he's now the coach of Marty's Juniors. He's director of rugby at Rondebosch. Clint van Rensburg.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's no secret. Me and him didn't really see eye to eye. And so I just decided, you know what? I don't need coaching.
Exactly.
I'm going to call it a day. So I hung up my coaching reins after, 2.5 years, COVID in between, that kind of thing. And then I decided I'm not going to coach again. And I haven't coached since.
But weren't you at that Fallsville also? Like,
yeah, so at Fallsville I was a bit of a more of a consultant basis. You know, they have a very nice setup at Fallsville. And so I was just there and I was doing some more backs attack. And I really enjoyed that, actually, to be fair. I really enjoyed that. But you know, with club rugby, you get such a short period. You know, I live around the corner here, and you know, I was driving all the way to Constantia. And the reality is, when you're coaching, I want to coach if I can really make a difference. Otherwise, what am I doing?
Definitely.
And so the reason I didn't continue with Fallsville was purely based on the fact that I was driving this long distance to be part of the team, but I was getting 10 minutes with the team on a Thursday maybe, or whatever it is. You know, I didn't feel I could really make a difference.
Yeah.
And I love their setup, though, don't get me wrong. That club has done something right there. They've got a real gears there. And then I decided, listen, guys, I'm not going to even get involved in that because I'm not really making a difference. And I didn't go back. And, well, not I didn't go back. Myself and Jono van der Walt at the time said, listen, cool, no worries. Completely understands. And I haven't coached since. And then the other day, what was it, in November or something, Carpenter and I were looking for a head coach. And
festive.
In the festive season.
Festive coach.
Wanted to enjoy my festive season.
Here we go.
And before that, you had a stint at Villages as a player coach. I can remember clearly.
The quicker we forget that, the better.
I remember clearly. 2022, we played at Villages. 2022? Yeah, 2022, right. I still remember. I came back from my honeymoon.
That's right.
I just got married. The club phoned me. They said, listen, you need to play Villages. It was a big game because, you guys recruited. The first half wasn't so good for Villages. Second half, you guys came back.
Yeah, we spent all the money.
Yeah. And came back. I still remember the Thursday night I hurt my ankle. And my ankle was swollen. And they asked me, like, how are you going to play? Because that actually happened the last line out of practice. I heard it, and I was like, I'm gonna play, don't worry. I remember still, I was sitting, I warm up for 2 minutes against Villages. I was sitting in the change room, rolling my foot, rolling with the spray bottle under my foot, rolling it. And they're like, what, are you gonna play? I said, I'm gonna play, don't worry. We ended up playing, but I remember the first half. We were dominating that first half, and second half, looking. Now, so Morgan standing on the sideline. In the centers, I was like, oh, makes sense.
No, it's not something you want to do. Trust me, player coach, I don't think necessarily works. But yeah, he's not wrong. I ended up coaching at Villages as well, actually, to be fair, with a bunch of mates. Well, yeah, cooler mates. And then, you know how it is. You know, when you're coaching and you need players and there's no other players, you look around, you put a jersey on yourself.
You sound like Lucian now. You sound like Lucian.
I heard the way you introduced me earlier. You're not sure if I'm a player coach. I'm definitely not a player coach. I can tell you that I am registered, but I'm not a player coach.
Yeah, there you have it.
There's a sign.
Super League B. Morgan is registered.
Look at the condition. Conditioning is
Let me
good.
tell you, the players we have at Carpenton, we're in good hands. You don't have to. I don't have to worry about putting on the jersey.
Mox, injuries are real.
Injuries are a real thing. I've had a couple of knee operations. I walk around a little bit crocked every so often. I can tell the weather by my knees. But you know, if my knees start paining in the morning, I know it's going to rain.
That's good.
But no, outside of that, yeah, injuries are a real thing. You know, club rugby players, especially, you know, when it's not your job, it's a difficult environment, you know. And so we need to look after our players. We need to do more to look after our players. Club rugby players need to do more to look after themselves as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of overweight, sort of under-conditioned
Yes.
players. But you're not playing, or you're people playing.
Yeah. Morgan, I'm still playing. I played second team against you Saturday.
Oh, really? You see, I didn't watch the Sekis, man. I saved myself the misery of like, you know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. But no, to be honest, yeah, club rugby players, they look after themselves more. You know what I mean? This is a contact sport, and players take it for granted.
Physically
I
better.
always believe that you need, like, you want to be a good rugby player, you got to be fit. Fit is first and
Yes,
foremost.
definitely.
And so, the condition of some players, they really shouldn't be on a rugby field. If I'm honest.
Yes.
Also not fine.
You know what? I don't mean joke, but I mean, you know, we talk about conditioning. There's 1,000 because you're a bigger guy doesn't mean you're not conditioned to play rugby.
100%.
I'm more meaning it's the conditioning of, you know, rugby is a full-on contact sport. You know, if you haven't played it in a long time, you can't just come out there and think you can go 100 miles an hour. I mean, neck injuries are a real thing, so we need to take big care there. And I mean, something needs to be done, and I know it's the responsibility of individual clubs. But for the most part, we really need to make sure our players are conditioned to play rugby. This is a dangerous sport.
That's something that a lot of clubs has taken into consideration. With a lot of clubs doing CrossFit now. I mean, you know, your Emmys, your Falls Bay, Unimall started it, where they do CrossFit. And everybody started tagging along, and I mean, it makes everybody better. I mean, you see Van der Stel gymming on Mondays or on Tuesdays, whatever. So. It's real. I mean, yeah, I hate the gym. I'm not gonna lie. I hate it. I hate gymming. But sometimes I do need to get back in, especially if I need to do rehab, like now.
But you know, I mean, you know the reality is, it's 4% of your day.
Yeah.
If you want to be a decent rugby player, you got to offer 4% of your day. I say this to all my players all the time. 1 hour of training a day will make you an unbelievable rugby player. You're a step ahead of every other club rugby player out there. 4% of your day. You can't offer that up. You know?
It's tough, folks. So, a question. How has your playing experience shaped your approach to coaching? Because obviously, player, you a different mindset. Coach, error. I mean, I can tell you from my experience, I don't want to be a player when I coach because, ik vloek by you, yes.
You know what the thing is, also another, you asked some tough questions you guys put on me. You know what the reality is for me? I want to do everything. I want to coach. I want to be the coach that I suppose I never really had. And that's what my coaching philosophy is based around. You know what I mean? Like, I think too many coaches sugarcoat, they spin a good story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and for me, I'm brutally honest, sometimes too honest. And I literally will never lie to a player.
Yeah.
And I think if you tell me one coach that's ever lied, like that has never not lied to you.
All of them lied.
You know, they all say something, they all like spin a good story. And so I would like to believe that I mean, you ask my players, I probably said, I've lied to them, you know what I mean? So it's difficult. But the reality is, I just think that, through life, you go through all these different coaches, and everything that you didn't like about a coach, I'm trying to not be. So I'm trying to really, really implement a good culture, an honest culture, never lie to the players. If it's a tough decision between two players, don't lie, just be honest. Say, listen, is it a tough call? What do you want me to do? So I've got to make a call here. The two of you are literally 50-50.
Yeah.
I have to make a call. I'm going with X for this reason. Maybe it's a gut feel, maybe it's... And then if a player doesn't believe you for that, then that's on them, right?
That's on them.
Then the ball's in their court. So it is difficult, but it's very difficult, actually. I mean, I'm making it sound a lot easier than it
I
actually
can
is.
agree with you. I love a coach being honest and giving you a reason. Because if you're just going to tell me I'm dropping you to the second team for no reason, then I'm going to be like, but I'm going to start asking questions.
But you know, you say it's tough, right, to be honest. You say you want honesty. And the reality is a lot of players don't want honesty. Like, you don't want to know that you're just overweight and you're just not cutting it. You don't want to know that you're just talking too much at practice and I don't like your attitude. You don't want to know these things. So with the honesty comes a little bit of, like...
You're going to have to take it.
Yeah, the players doesn't like it, you know what I mean? And club rugby is like a bloody lottery, man. They want to pick and choose, they want to go to everywhere, and some players want bucks. I mean, this thing of paying players is ridiculous. We can do a whole other podcast on the paying of rugby players.
I think we must do it. I think we must do it.
You can sign me up any day. I'll come and do a full show with you about the fact that these club rugby players are being paid, because the demands of club rugby players.
Yeah,
If they have demands, then there should be a standard that should be reaching physically based on those demands.
Definitely.
When you play like a professional, then train like one, deliver like one.
But listen, Morgan, Ruben has it. You guys been spending a lot of money.
Let me tell you something. That is an absolute lie. And I'll tell you straight on your podcast. And if anyone can tell me I'm lying, then they must come and talk to me.
Yes.
I never recruited a single rugby player to Kraaifontein. Those that came, all came out of it because they wanted to be at the club. It's no secret we pay players. Like every other club does, we pay match fees and we pay, what do they call it, our petrol and all this rubbish. But the reality is, in order to compete, you got to do it.
Definitely.
Of course.
You know, that's the argument. Is in order to compete, you've got to do it. You know, if you want to be a bodybuilder and in order to be a good bodybuilder, you must probably you can't tell me, you can't advocate that, I'm against supplements, against drugs, all these things. But you want to be the best bodybuilder in the world. You're never going to be, my friend. You're never going to be.
Guys, what do you think? Should Morgan come back for that topic or what? Must we wait that topic?
Definitely. No,
Norman?
Morgan? Listen, I come back because you know me, I have nothing to lose. But it's a very contentious issue. Playing of club rugby players.
Look, it's become real. Normally it used to be like just your Super League A, Super League B, and the Super League C. Brother, it's going there to the gutters there
Guys,
in the divisions, in the city leagues.
Must I tell you the
They're
honest
playing
truth?
players.
The honest truth. Results don't matter. You're going to fight with me about this. The only reason the results matter is for your and my ego.
Definitely.
Guys, results don't... Why are we paying players when the results don't matter? Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me that... So, you're a Unimall guy. Both of you are Unimall.
Yeah.
So, Unimall go win the league this year. Right? So what? Like, Hamilton's won the league last year.
Yeah.
Does anyone care this year? Like, is the
Not a topic anymore.
I don't know, what did they spend? 1.5 million, whatever maybe they spent 1.5 million. Let's call it, don't say, because Unimall's spending more.
Never.
But let me tell you, the reality is, my argument for club rugby, and to the detriment of club, results don't matter, guys. Like, yes, what are they going to do? They're going to fire Morgan if Kraaifontein doesn't get promoted. But so what?
It's life.
Like, so what? Results don't matter. We make this thing way bigger than it actually is. Club rugby, what is the sole responsibility of the rugby club? It's to serve the community in which it resides.
Definitely.
So Unimall is there to serve
Monaghan.
the Monaghan area, the Tableview area.
Blauberg.
Kraaifontein is there to serve the community. It's there to the Kraaifontein players that are around that area must have a lekker place to go after work. We're a working man's club. After work, you finish 5 o'clock, you have a shower, say hi to the family, and off you go to to have a run around with the boys. Our ego has decided Clairefontaine must win the league.
Yes.
Or Unimo must win the league. That's only our ego. But who won the league in 2015?
I remember it.
So my point.
It's probably Vati
Yes.
to Durga.
You know what I mean? Listen, professionally, I get it. There's
Yes.
sponsors involved. There's big money involved. I get it. The Stormers must perform. I get that. Of course, results matter there.
Definitely.
But it's their job.
Yeah.
It's a
You're
full-time
teacher.
job.
You want students that come through that are educated kids.
Yeah.
But it's your job. You're being paid for it.
100%.
This thing of playing rugby players.
Guys, that's Morgan. That's his opinion. That's his rugby. That's his coaching life. Now off to behind rugby. Morgan, radio to the media. Or from the media to the radio.
Yes.
Here we go.
Sure, do we still have time? Okay.
Yeah, we have time. We have enough time for you.
I'll keep it
We have
short.
enough time for you. Morgan, what's the funniest or the most unexpected thing that has happened during a live broadcast? There has been a lot, I guess.
There's so many. I mean, I could have. I'll be married already if it wasn't. If I had just followed through with one of the questions that I got already. But you know what the funny thing is? The funniest thing probably on radio for me that I've experienced is probably one of my very, very close friends rounding up all my mates and asking me to be the MC to his wedding live on air. I didn't know it. So they'd all round up. They'd called in. It was we had played. I think we were playing a game on air or something. And they called in, and the radio host Kaizi knew about it. And I was like, but this voice sounds familiar. And he was like, listen, Morgs, I just want to ask you if you'll be the MC for my wedding. And I was like, who is this? Is this guy joking? What is it? Lo and behold, I ended up being the MC to his wedding. And yeah, pretty crazy. So that's probably one of the funnier moments. There are others that are probably not fit for the environment of the show. I know you got young viewers.
Here we go.
So
Keep it clean.
others, but we keep it clean.
Morgs, then if you had a choice, right, to interview anybody, whether it may be a legend, whether it may be someone you played with, or a current rugby player, who would it be?
Emphasis rugby player, right? Can't be anyone.
It can be anybody.
Anyone.
Anybody. Doesn't need to be a rugby player.
I mean, it would be super of me not to say Nelson Mandela, right? But that's so cliche. Right?
Ik kan hem altijd bel.
It's kind of anyone they see. Definitely. Sure, that's a tough one. I mean, my rugby hero growing was always Tano Umaga. I just loved the way he played the game. New Zealanders to me just are next second to none. Their skill set is so from a rugby point of view, I probably would love to have interviewed him. Although, I mean, I did have the privilege of interacting with him, and I think that was enough. You know that they say you must never meet your hero.
Yes. Because
You're going to be disappointed, right? So I probably just park that one. Outside of that, gee, I don't know. That's a really tough one. If I could interview anyone, what would it be? You know who I have a remarkable amount of respect for is probably Barack Obama. If I could really sit around the table, he'd be right up there. Muhammad Ali, right up there. Probably Muhammad Ali. I think that's a guy that I could sit and listen to for hours.
Why not Donald Trump?
Nah, I'm okay, thanks.
Nothing personal. Nothing personal.
He speaks so much on social media as it is. You don't need to interview him. All the questions are there. All the answers of your questions are there.
Angela is 'n brief en hy drop nou net een ding en as wat wil jy doen?
As fyn, hy kan maar drop. Ons gaan saam. Dan wil jy.
Hy gaan saam.
Hy gaan ook saam. Ja. Dan Morgan, a personal insight. What is one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career?
Sure. It's not a piece of advice that I received. I mean, very late on in my career, my father always taught me that hard work beats talent. You know what I mean? Unless talent works hard. But
Yeah.
hard work will always trump talent. So I'm a big advocate for that. But I suppose the piece of advice that I've given myself over my experience of my rugby career or my life so far is probably it's not that big. Like it's literally not that big. It's not that important. You know, like I think I played rugby professionally. I played rugby so scared to make mistakes because you think this is the end of the world if you make a
Again,
mistake.
agree with you.
And so the freedom was all gone. The enjoyment starts. You start to lose the enjoyment.
Circumstances tight.
You know what I mean? And I think if I had known that earlier, I would have been a 10 times better rugby player, just based on the fact that I would have expressed myself
Yeah,
more.
free
You know what I mean?
circumstances.
Yeah, I would have thrown that pass that I didn't want to throw because I didn't want to
Yeah,
make a mistake.
yeah.
I would have, you know what I mean? So I mean, that's probably, I mean, again, you asked me this earlier and you guys had me thinking all day about it. But it's probably that. It's probably just, it's not that big. Like rugby, and it's such a short period of your life.
Hulle sê is 'n oogknip.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like mine was even more less than an oogknippie. Mine was just like flipping before you knew it, it was gone, you know?
Wel 'n oogknip.
Yeah, but it's not that big. Like it's really not that big. Like, it's such a small part of your life. Just go out there and express yourself, give it your best shot, and there's life after rugby for sure.
100%. And then, Mogs, if you look back to when you were, let's say, a chokerkie, say grade 9, let's put
Yeah.
that, because even though hello teacher,
Yeah, got
Like
you.
grade 9 normally like prepare you for like what career do you want to pursue? Now, off the rugby, off the media, what did you actually want to do?
Sure. Growing up, I always wanted to be a pilot. Heaven alone knows why. I just wanted that white suit with a...
Morgan, stop. Is jy hoogtevrees?
Yeah, no, I don't have that. What I do have, I've got no sense of numbers.
Ooh.
And
Jullie
I
numbers
And I think you would have a, you know what I mean? So, but I think it's more the suit. I don't know why I pictured a pilot in that white suit.
Yo,
Allee, goed, but you understand?
trolley bag.
Yeah, you understand?
Here we go.
So that look I went for. I mean, knowing what it entailed, but on a serious note, what did I want to do? I don't know. I don't know what I wanted to do. I think sport was always my thing. Yeah, I mean, my mother always preached to my boy, you must do your previous homework and you must know your learning. But I suppose they always
Sien jy, jy moet sy numbers gaan doen het.
Ex-
Jy moet sy numbers gaan doen het.
Standard grade, boykie. But yeah, I mean, sure. If I had to give you an answer, something with my hands. I love working with my hands. Is right up there. But yeah, it turned out to be everything but that, and always gonna be. I mean, look now. If I look back now, I do love the coaching thing. I'd like to take this quite far if I can, if I have the privilege of taking it. But again, problem with coaching and all these different things is you putting your hands in somebody else. You're putting your career in somebody else's hands.
Yes.
And that's one thing I've always tried to do since my rugby career. Even with the rugby career, and I know I'm getting a bit off topic here, so excuse me, but the thing with the rugby career is like, if that coach decides he doesn't like you, then that's your career gone.
Exactly.
And that's always a worry for me, like I'm trying to take my life now and go, the decisions that I make lie with me, And the same, if I'm a coach, then if Rusty's the director of rugby for the next 10 years and Morgan's the next up-and-coming coach, then my coaching career relies on Rusty's hands.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of that. I like the idea of my life in my hands.
Yes.
And so hence the thing, I push the entrepreneurial thing a lot. And I mean, you guys, look at you. I mean, I love this podcast. I mean, this thing could blow up. This could be your life. And then your podcast, your hands, you decide, you make the bucks. I mean, MacBeast is probably the aspiration, right? Biggest YouTuber in the world, right? Mr. Beast, MacBeast. One of
And
them.
I never even thought of this, honestly. If you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I would have said, never.
You know what I admire about you guys in this program? Is that I've wanted to do my own podcast for probably the last 5 years. I've just never had the balls or the courage to start. And if everywhere I read, every podcast I read lately, everything, it's always just start.
Just start.
And so for you guys, just starting, I'll support this thing any day of the week.
Here
Just
we
start.
go. Guys, before we conclude, Morgan, is there any piece of advice or any message for upcoming sportsters, youngsters? Don't have to be sports,
Media.
education,
Media, please.
whatever they want to do. Any piece of advice?
Sure. Now that the Barack Obama speech in me should probably come out.
Please, man.
But,
This is the White House.
this is Barack from the White House. Your advice, I don't know. I don't have massive words of wisdom. Again, I go back to the motto I like to think I like to believe that I live by. just work hard. Put your mind to it, work hard, take risks, and it's really not that important. It's really not that big. Like, make every mistake you can,
Yeah.
but if you make a mistake, make sure you fall forward.
Here we go.
That's probably, I mean, it took me a long time to realize that. I made a lot of mistakes, fall backwards, 10 steps backwards, trying to work my way forward. I should have taken more risks. And so based on my life and sort of where I find myself now, my advice is go big or go home, man. Take risks and really give it your absolute all.
Guys, it's Morgan Newman. Take the risk, make the mistake, fall back, get up, make the mistake, and take the risk again. Morgan Newman. Here we go. Fellas, back to our rugby chat. Past weekend was so exciting. Norman visited us in Monitor. Here we go.
So, Ange, we're going to first talk Super Rugby. Because obviously, the mana.
Sure,
The mana.
Chiefs.
So, first up, Islanders, Hurricanes. I mean, the Islanders at the end trying to get a drop goal, missing it. Tough one. But I think Hurricanes coming back. The Super Rugby is demakaai. 1 week, Mogs. The Moana Pacifica beating the Hurricanes, and next week they beating the Islanders. Like, yes. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, it's all over the place at the moment. I tell you, you know the sad thing is, I don't even watch, like, you used to wake up to watch Super Rugby on a Saturday morning. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. That being said, I mean, there's still good quality rugby being played.
Definitely.
I mean, the scores are high. So his defense is weak, and lots of tries being scored.
Then we have Brumbies, Fijiana draw, 38-21. I think I figured Brumbies at home should win it.
Difficult one.
Should win it.
But
Crusaders, obviously. The mighty Crusaders.
no, the mighty
The
Crusaders.
mighty Crusaders, of course. The mighty Crusaders.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree with you. It's a fortress, that.
Of course. 55-33. I mean, Will Jordan. Class.
Only performing now.
Class.
With the South African
Class.
teams.
He's always performed against South Africa.
You sound like an All Black.
Yeah, of course. Then your Chiefs versus Blues. Once again, Blues missing it. I mean, a conversion out of the corner. The Youngstoni's debut, missing it against the upright.
Guys,
Unfortunately,
the
losing it.
Blues gonna lift the cup.
I don't.
Mark
think
my
so.
words.
I don't.
You
Morgan,
heard it here first.
mark my words. The Blues gonna lift this cup.
I don't think so. I think the Crusaders has it.
I'm sure of it.
I have to agree with Crusaders.
Crusaders. Eh?
Oh
Thanks,
my
boss.
word.
Then obviously the Reds. I never predicted this. You predicted this. Reds coming out 35-15. I said what it was. He said Reds.
Yeah, that's actually a surprise result. Yeah, that's a big surprise.
I wanted the what it was.
Yes, me. Egg white. Die yellow moet erop. Asseblief, laat hy dan kom. Laat hy dan kom. Laat hy dan kom. Laat hy dan kom.
And then obviously our SA Cup. Griffins beating Boland 38-35. And I mean, Boland was leading, I think like 29-5 or something like that. And,
So hulle het hulle weer in self in die reverse gesit.
yeah, I think I was speaking to one of the Griffins players, Curtly Thomas, and he told me Luke Boland was just playing the ball wide, and they made it tough for them. But he said they recuperated and they made the game a bit slower, because obviously any team that plays fast don't like it slow. They made it a bit slower, and they surprised themselves.
Yeah, I heard an interview actually with Avies, and they said the defense was non-existent in that second half.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough for them. And then Eastern Province 22, A-Link Puma 61.
It was everyone expected that one.
Look, Coach Tutti obviously coached you in the
Yeah,
past.
he did.
He's trying his best with what happened. I mean, if you look at where they were, and then coming back, the Kings, and then going back down the slumps, and now they're
Yeah,
back.
that rugby landscape, I mean, it's actually so sad to
It's
see what's
tough
going on there.
because
Because I'll tell you what, that's
Tutti.
a factory of players that are coming out.
Tutti is fine. Kwaal van Morgan. Kwaal van Morgan.
Om te coachen.
Nee, kwaal van Morgan. Kijk hoe lyk die man. Kijk hoe lyk die man, man. Hy kan nou so maak, moenie worry nie.
And then obviously the Griekos beating the Falcons 68-15. Maar dat was die Boland wat gescoord en dis
Ja.
die drie. Huh?
Taboe. Girls win weer. Mannen van my wereld. Woester. Wellington. Ons praat van speed. Speed.
That was definitely
Yo.
speed. I mean, gee, I saw one of that.
So many
highlights.
wings that finish like that, boys. Except Kobe and Curtly.
Nah, it
Sure,
was
big
good.
statements, eh?
Ja?
It was good. It was proper
Really?
tries.
En dan praten we van 12 meters, 5 meters, 40 and above.
Speed. But Poland
40
always
and
had
above.
speed.
Yeah, they know, but we know that they don't lack that.
Yeah.
Look at me, Borat.
Oei.
Speed!
Both for speed.
Talk about it.
Yes, yeah, the reverse.
Your wife told me you both for comfort.
Then the Cheetahs obviously being last.
They definitely
losing to the Poland. They were upset.
Yeah, they definitely went back to the drawing board.
69
Come
0.
back. They come back with a drawing board. That's how they make.
So that was a good result for the Cheetahs. Obviously, I think they go to play Griffins, I think. if I'm
That's
not
going to be a
mistaken.
tough one, eh?
SVD 48, Border Bulldogs 22.
Bulldogs. Klomp jong laities, né? As iemand se laitie van Montetjie wat daar speel, loskakel so vir hulle Bulldogs ken die kompetisie, maar vir die amount of players wat ingekom het, dink ek het sak vir hulle. Dink om punte aan te teken die manne wat nou al gesout is, dink ek dat
Yeah,
tells the story.
You know, again, there's another thing to be said there about this tournament is definitely to, you know, there's, call it the minnow unions, because for lack of a better way of putting it. Where would those players have been now if it wasn't for these tournaments? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yes, they might have picking up the results, but this experience will stand them in good stead for the following year and the following year.
And I mean, they were punching bags, let's put it that way.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
used to be punching bags. They're putting on at least points on the board,
Exactly.
which is good, and it's nice to see because, I mean...
In
we
our
always
language,
had
22, it's a bonus point.
Yeah.
22 is a bonus point. Four
That's
tries.
right, yeah.
And then obviously, the club rugby that we love so much.
You're the club rugby coach.
Club rugby
Quicker we
coach.
go to the results of that way.
Club rugby.
Obviously, Derby, Belleville versus Law, 24-22.
They talk about 1.2 million supporters. Morgan talk about it. 1.2 million supporters in Belleville.
Rosina
Pava
Pava
Stadium. Packed. A lot of people. Guys, that's not racism, but a lot of colors together. Yeah. 1.2 million.
Home ground advantage at its finest.
Here we
Daar was
go.
ek nie 'n bierbeelewe gebeur in oorhaal.
Sjoe, hulle sê die buste het die Belleville oorgevat uit Bella uit. Bella, what a comeback. They've been losing big scores, right?
Derby's.
What's a derby?
Yeah,
It's a derby.
it's a different ballgame.
Heads up there for that derby.
And then obviously, your Hamlet's 52 and Liverpool 10.
Sure, the man aan tens side cricket gespeeld.
They said it was at one stage it was like close, not close, but like Hamlet's was not. They were,
Hamlet Wammery.
yeah, they
Ja, maar die lijkt is het voet, ze weet dan, als hij bal wijd pas, dan moet hij maar stap. Ze maar los.
No, but they're
Stuff-
looking
stuff like
stuff.
that, yeah.
they're looking good this year. They're looking good. So moves and just
No, don't worry, I keep it quiet.
Ah, Mox.
I've done my homework, don't worry.
So right, Coach Morgan het sy kaart uit in sy bos. Coach Morgan, hoe lyk die defense plan? Hulle sê banana.
Kan hulle skram.
Stadig maak.
then UCT 43, St George's 21. Impressive from UCT because normally the second stringers don't do too well, but I
Not
mean,
just the second thing, this is the non-playing squad of the vast cup.
yeah, but I mean
And
the
St. George's, considering a new coach,
They
got
lost a
whole
lot of
new
players.
recruits from Heidelberg. I mean, Koos took a lot of players with him. So, interesting result. I actually thought they would have done better.
Yeah.
Then Curls River Derby also against East River 27-22. I mean, Curls River was leading and apparently they came. East River came back into the game in the second half. So, I mean, Derby's always. I mean, yes.
But also, I mean, pre-season friendlies.
Now, don't peek too soon. Don't peek too
Read too
soon.
much into it.
Don't peek too soon.
Tigerberg 39, Franzoek 19. Franzoek also a team to watch. Bulls.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been watching, don't worry.
They tough. They tough. They also like they spread the ball.
Yeah.
They say let the ball do the work.
As makkelijk. Let the ball do the work.
Sounds so easy, eh?
Is it?
Sounds so
Listen,
easy.
there's a
Talk to
guy.
your coaches about the two of you. You make it the ball.
There's a play in the bowler. They played last year top 12, and he beat I think 3 defenders with 1 pass, and they scored. But they attack him every time on Facebook, man. Now he made the pass, and all of a sudden after the game they interviewed him. They asked him what happened there. He just go like, wat makkelijk. Let the ball do the work. Laat hij net gaan. Dat is easy.
Millions of views.
Here we go. Shout out to Grammy there.
And then Hemmy's 78, Marty's 19. That's oof. And obviously Hemmy's is 150 years old.
Yeah, so they actually celebrated the 150th over
Yeah.
the weekend. So
Sure.
off the backlash of that.
150 years old.
But also, I mean,
The oldest club in South Africa.
oldest club in the country, yeah?
Sure.
By a year.
And the richest club, I guess.
I don't know about richest anymore. I mean, there's the Real Madrid of Van der Stal coming through.
Who? Oh, you so you know about it? Huh?
Why is it a secret?
No.
Viva Madrid!
I'm only talking about it.
They contracted 35 players on it.
Maricos.
They're Galacticos.
And it's big names. Huh? Big names.
The big names that perform like big players is the question.
It's not us. We are Morgan. Please, we are players.
Oh, is that?
Please.
Oh, is that? Not allowed to, I'm not allowed to say
No,
that.
no. Morgan, he's still players.
It's not in the same league, you won't catch it. You know, the Jose Mourinho Falconier is a good friend of mine. So, he knows, Phil knows, I'll always tease him about it.
And then obviously, what do we call? Well, they used to call villages Real Madrid. So they like a PSG now. PSG.
No. They're the PSG of the world now.
21-26, Durban beating villages. I mean,
I think I wouldn't read too deep into those results. I think Durban, you know, it depends what team you're playing, where you are in your
But
preseason.
guys, you know,
These things all play a role, you know.
Derbial in the friendlies is not a Derbial in the league.
That's also true, yeah.
Andel, yeah.
Done deal. Because going to Derbial, different ball game.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right.
True. And then obviously the big one, Molds.
Why not?
Unimol 38.
That's not a big one. That's not a big one.
Unimol
Super League A,
38.
Super League B is two different. It's not a big
Unimol
one.
38. Kravenday 19. Most nowadays, you know, you guys are also in there. You like, let's put it, like you won't say boss, huh? Boss,
You're talking about from a financial standpoint?
no.
Oh, absolutely no. We don't even rank up there. With
Yeah,
$2 grand match fee. Every club is doing that.
sus.
Yo,
That's what everyone is doing.
Wait.
what are we doing wrong?
I don't know why we.
Where did I go wrong?
I don't know why we tiptoe around the topic.
4 games a month, 8K.
Easily. You got to win though.
Easily. Oh, is that? What a
You
win.
got to win. You got to win.
And
And lose is probably $1,000, I think.
4K is 50%.
now, how can you want to say we are up there with them?
That makes sense.
No way.
What I've just said to you now, every club in Super League A is doing it. Super League B, the top 6 are all doing it.
Not us.
I mean, even in the city leagues, they do it.
Ex-
Look at me, basic Karo.
What? Cash is king.
I told you, we're excited for another episode.
Guys, we will come back with an episode, that's for sure.
But Bob, let's just quick recap. Obviously, you guys doing exceptionally well in that first half and
Yeah.
set pieces. I mean, you guys showed us, listen here, we
Yeah,
are
for
not
business.
coming with any
Yeah,
joke.
yeah, for
Hence
business.
why you said that. Let's scrum. Obviously, you guys is doing exceptionally well in the set pieces. I mean, even in your lineouts and defensive lineouts, you guys were doing well. Going forth with the league. I mean, the league is in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going forth, what's your main goals for this year? Let's put it that way.
Look, it will be no secret if I said I wanted to win Super League B.
Kraaifontein Boer.
It's not, I mean, it's not a secret. That's,
Yeah.
I would love to do that. But, you know, again, and I mean this sincerely, I came on board November, whatever it was.
Early
I
festive.
haven't recruited a single player. So I didn't really know what we had. But, you know, also, for me, it's very important to build a culture at the club. So more than the results will come. But the culture is what we need to get right first. And so I've been big on building a culture. We haven't, you know what I mean? Players that came there came out of their own. We've got a couple of players from Hands and Hearts that came. a couple of players from St. George's that came, a couple from Van der Stel actually that came.
Was that now the one as well? I'll not say leftovers, but it,
No, well, it's a lot of players that obviously saw
what you mean.
Van der Stel buying 15 players. So if you one of the guys that are sort of fringe players, and you're going to go, well, what am I going to do here? You know, there's no, and that's not a culture.
Who's going to watch it?
Listen,
Who's
I'll
going to play?
I'll tell full straight to his face. You don't build a culture buying 15 players.
Yes.
You know, and so for me it was very important that the core players from Kraaifontein last year, I kept them on board. You know, I mean, also to be honest, they only lost one game, and that's why they're not playing in Superliga. They lost the playoff against
Van der Stel.
Van der Stel. So why would I? You know what I mean? So why would I try and change the whole apple cart just to, you know what I mean? They've clearly got the right remedy to go quite far. If I believe with a little bit of my coaching and a little bit of my different input, we don't need players to go up. We just need to change maybe the culture, change one or two things between the four white lines. So that's been my plan, and I hope it works. Could backfire tremendously. If it backfires, then Morgan goes and the club stays. That's the most important. I'll always be a Cry fan. So, yeah.
and I mean, it's not far. You don't travel far.
I don't travel far, but I mean, I've got Brackenfell there that might want me if Kraaifontein don't. There's Durban around the corner from me as well. So hopefully I'll have a home.
And
Kayla.
Kayla.
But no, jokes aside, I'm really loving it at Kraaifontein. We're building a great culture. The club's in good hands now. I think our committee's really got a really good committee. So, like I said, you know, hopefully the results will come at some point. But I didn't know what I had. So, and also, I mean, based on the results we had against Van der Stel and against Unimol, both Super League 8 teams, this is only our second contact session. So I've got 2 more contact sessions. I'm going to try 1 or 2 more things still. And then hopefully, by Goodwood, be happy with what I have, play my strongest, and then hit the ground running against NTK, First League.
Here we go.
So we're just gonna go through the fixtures for the weekend. Moana versus Chiefs. Morgs.
Chiefs. I love Moana purely because they got their new captain.
Adi.
I'm a big Adi fan. But yeah, I think Chiefs will take
Chiefs.
A fun fact. My daughter's second name is Xavier.
Oh really? Okay.
Well, my man is on the Chiefs. Who's yours?
I'll go Chiefs.
Chiefs.
I'm gonna go Moana. At home.
Oh, yeah, good. The home ground.
Guys, Chiefs.
Yeah,
Chiefs.
Zealanders are super patriotic.
Yeah.
At home, it's a hard thing to beat. It's like a French. A Toulon at home and a Toulon away is like
different. Then obviously a big derby. Your Auckland versus your Canterbury. Blues versus
we know where you're going. We know where you're going.
Of course.
Blues.
I'll go with you as well. Crusaders.
Blues.
Crusaders.
You think Blues is going to win? So you think they're going to win the competition?
Blues.
So maybe this is a precursor for the final.
Maybe, let's go. Here we go.
$20.
Ah?
$20.
$20.
Yeah, that's all I can afford. Crap, I don't have money.
Against
You see Unimo.
Against me.
I'm Morgan. To good me, gets me, bro.
Okay.
Gets me.
Excellent.
Force versus Fijiana draw. At the Force.
Force are soft, man. Underbelly
Nah,
soft.
I mean, not anymore. They gaat voor die force.
Okay.
I go Fiji. Draw.
Okay.
I'll go draw.
I'll go Force then.
Force.
Sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Highlanders versus Reds. I'll go Highlanders.
Yeah.
At home, Highlanders.
Well, they picked a big result last week, the Reds, so maybe there's something brewing there, but yeah, probably Highlanders.
Yeah.
New Zealand team against the Australian team, I struggled to back that one.
In Waratahs versus Brumbies, another derby.
Another derby. Brumbies.
Yeah, Brumbies.
Waratahs at home.
Oh, that's a different
Ik ga voor Brumbies. Brumbies, boy.
I'll go Waratahs home.
I'll probably go Warriors.
Home ground. In the SA Cup, Border versus Griquas.
Greeks.
Pangela SVD versus Eastern Province. I say
That's
SVD.
going to be a nice game.
Nice
actually.
game.
But yeah, I
EP.
hope Zayn and his team
I got
pull it
EP.
through.
I got EP.
I'm going SVD.
Yeah, I'm a good friend
At
of Zayn,
home.
so let's stick with my friends. I'll go with the Eagles.
Ailing Pumas, big one. Ailing Pumas versus Toyota Cheetahs.
Ooh, that is big.
I'm going to
In Helspruit,
Pumas.
Pumas also. The Cheetahs might. Franz would be happy with you.
No, I know.
Then Falke versus Poland. At
Cavaliers.
Falke, I'll go Cavas.
Poland.
Yeah, I think
Cavaliers.
Poland will bounce back.
And then Leopards versus Griffins.
Griffins.
I'll
Easy.
go Griffins. So Leopards is struggling.
Yep. I was going to ask.
They're
I haven't
struggling.
seen
You know they're struggling.
Definitely.
They're struggling. And then obviously, Ange, we had some interaction with the viewers, right? And the first question was why we started the podcast.
I think it's easy.
Easy.
It's easy why we started.
I think, firstly, I think it's the reason why we started the podcast. If you watched episode 1, you would have had it.
Yes.
But to give it short to you, the reason why we started this podcast was we two guys from the community also dreamed to become something or someone in life. And it wasn't easy. It was tough. And luckily for us, we had a sport code called rugby that helped us along our journey, I mean, with high school and tertiary education. And I mean, once again, it wasn't easy. I had to come out of my comfort zone. I come from Ravensmead, I had to go to Milnerton, here, Engels gekoop. And I mean, it was tough making that transition from speaking kombuis Engels to speaking English.
Now, what about me? Coming from Montague, plain Afrikaans.
Sure.
En kon Engels praat mee, bro. Ja, dat was tough, Morgan.
That's Engels.
Talk about it. But now, it's Woolworths English. Yes. Here we go. Talk about it. All 8 us
Excuse me.
So yeah, and then obviously the thing is we want to help people in the community because there was somebody that helped us, and
Exactly.
I just feel like giving back to people, or giving back to the people in the community. That's all we want to do, and hence why we do youth empowerment, youth upliftment. We have a drive currently running. Our
3
bull
weeks
drive.
left. 3 weeks
3
left.
more weeks left on our bull drive, and all we ask is to either donate 1 ball, or we'll put the banking details up there, and you can donate money for 1 ball, whatever you want to. Even if they're 2 rand donate, we don't mind. Everything counts. And that's basically that in a nutshell. That's the reason why we started it. Youth upliftment, youth empowerment, and obviously giving people opportunities. Maybe there's somebody that needs a second opportunity. I mean, it doesn't come every day. Maybe we can be that people to give you a second opportunity. And then there was another question, Ange. They wanted us to name our dream team, right? So we're going to go from number 1 to 15. Starting by you, your dream, your prop. Your number 1 prop.
Cutthroat Steenkamp.
Cutthroat Steenkamp.
Dream team. Not
Yes,
currently.
no.
Anyone.
Anyone.
Wow.
Cutthroat Steenkamp.
Cutthroat
Number 1.
Steenkamp. Hoeke. Tough one. Give me a number.
Tight prop. Os.
Durant. Number 4. Andries Becker.
Andries Becker.
Wow, that's a big call.
Oh, that's coming out of the archives.
Andries
I
Becker.
played with Was Os even a tight prop?
Yeah.
If I think at number 5, Victor Matfield.
Sure.
Victor Matfield.
That's a
Really,
big name.
all time.
Look, for me, I wasn't never a Springbok fan. I was never a line-out
Chris
fan.
Jack.
Yeah, I know Chris Jack
John
was in.
Eales, former
Chris
Defier.
Jack was in there, but strategically, if you're going for line-outs, Victor's you know.
Okay.
I never liked him as a player because he irritated me with like the
Yeah.
calls but you know, me as a player now and as a coach, Victor.
Okay.
Six flanker.
Six flanker. So I'm going to pick Richie McCaw. I know he plays 7 for the
Yes.
All Blacks, but because we played the opposite, you know, in New Zealand, South Africa, we played the opposite. So I'll pick Richie. If we're in South Africa, I'll pick Richie
As
as my 6 flanker.
Number 7.
Zinzan.
Phew. Heinrich Brussel.
Ah,
Heinrich
so-
Brussel.
Okay, well then we're going to move Richie back. We can move Heinrich to 6.
You understand?
I got
Yo,
you.
Then, obviously, my number 8, my role model,
Henry.
my soon-to-be son, hopefully,
Zinzan Broek.
inshallah. Not Zinzan Broek. He was also my favorite, but you know, modern day rugby. Kieran Reid. My son's name is going to be Reid. Ek sê vir julle nou spreek dit. My son's name is going to be Reid. Reid se weer pa wat. Ek sê dit vir julle nou.
Boek nog een honeymoon. Guys, sponsor my honeymoon. Sponsor my honeymoon.
Mox
9. Yo, that's a tough one. 9.
Look at you. Yes.
Talk about it.
Options are endless. Guys, The best 9 ever. Sure. George Green.
Oh, that's a great one.
Great
Legend.
Guys, number 10.
Actually, I take that back.
Okay.
For you to pray.
Phew, ek vaar kan nie koop nie. Number 10. Johnny the Beer. Voor julle tyd. Voor julle tyd.
Die man skop.
Hy was op jou
Ons wil die game wen, meneer.
Drop goals. Was it drop goals?
Johnny the Beer, hulle sê
Johnny
met
the
sy broekie
Beer.
altyd skoon. Huh?
Johnny Wilkinson. Dan
Dan
Carter.
Carter.
Meneer, Johnny the Beer.
As you can see, that's my man. When the rugby is great.
Obviously, we
Ons
know.
wil kyk, ons het hom geluister.
We know who the best number 11 in the world. He will always be known. Jonah Lomo.
Okay, fair enough. Easy choice. Best 12 in the world? Yeah, well, I can't put him next to Yanni the Beer. But the best 12 in the world, Aaron Major.
100%.
What the name?
100%.
Phew.
That's all for you.
But look, my backline is running. Yanni daar gaat ons beanderen met maar.
Johnny sit hom dit oor dit dingetjie. Follow. Is dit?
yeah.
Johnny Boer. Listen here, boys. Number 13. Smith.
Conrad Smith.
Tandil.
It's the first time you're making a good choice.
Look, there's been a lot of wings. And I can mention wings now currently.
Number 14.
To be honest, I don't play 14 normally, but it's between like 2 people that I can say like, they
Only
are up there.
Unfortunately, only need one.
Yeah, I think I'll go with Jason Kobe.
Jason Colby.
Wow. 15, easy choice. Christian Cullen.
Oh, the magician. And your dag was a
Easy choice.
moves like that.
Christian Cullen.
Guys,
was a
it's
legend.
all 8
That
with
was-
your episode 10
That was a dream team.
dream team.
Yeah, and so Yanni the Beer.
I feel like this team was doing so well until you selected Yanni as
Guys, ons moet 'n great ou hê wat great skop. Wie kaarte was hy ou? Maar Johnny man. Ek glo nog aan Johnny. Ek glo nog aan Johnny.
Ek sê maar niks.
And then obviously we need to thank our sponsors, FLM Attorneys and SSA Custom Design. Mooks, hoe proe die water van, ek meen,
Nee, die water is next level. Dit is hoe is water, maar hoe is dit?
Ek kan hoor my Engels.
Dat is maar goeie Engels praat in plaas van Afrikaans. Die water weg.
and then obviously with regards to FLM Attorneys, if you need a lawyer for anything, please contact them. The contact details are up there.
Definitely.
Show some love. We will also have an interview with the one and only Fallon Mars, and she will give you a bit of insight on what they do and what they specialize in, and just to give you a clear view, we will post it on our socials so that you know what's going for what. And then
Here we go.
episode 10 was great.
Great.
Yeah,
Morgan Newman.
we just like to thank you from the bottom of our heart. We truly appreciate your time and your effort, and I mean it was great just having a chat. Like, you know,
Ja.
ou mense wat nog net gesels het, chat 'n bietjie bol.
Exactly, I love it.
Met Coach Morgan.
And we can keep going.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So you're holding me to a lot of things here, but gents, just from my side, thank you so much for having me. I wish you guys all the very best. This is a podcast that has got legs beyond your wildest dreams. I really hope, if the podcast is built on the core of wanting to give back, wanting to help, and wanting to create a platform for others, then I think the foundation on which this house is going to be built is going to be built on a fantastic foundation. And I wish you guys all the very best. So, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute privilege. You're watching all 8. You know what to do. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. These gentlemen need you. They're going places.